Welcome to Seriously, the podcast that dives into the baffling.
We can't send them to a prison where there's animals, where there's livestock.
The ridiculous.
Like omelets better than sex.
And downright unbelievable political climate in red states like Louisiana.
So we can't go there. There are no vegan jails.
Seriously.
Welcome to Seriously. We're your host. I'm Michelle.
And I'm Ellie. And we're back.
We had a reprieve.
I feel like a reprieve, but we had a break.
A necessary break.
Yeah.
A necessary break. A lot has happened in the weeks that we have not been together. And also, a lot is happening today because we have flash flooding warnings. The power may go out at any minute.
Yeah.
And you may be getting some stuff delivered.
That's right. I was going to say, on the front end, I look like shit as usual, but that's because, yes, it's pouring. And I'm planning a girl power baby shower. My little sister's having a little girl. So I'm having a baby shower and lots of things are being delivered like soon. So yeah, we might have to take a couple breaks and come back, but yeah. We're in it to win it as always, Michelle.
That's right. Okay, so we're going to talk about some of the current events that have happened in the weeks that we've been gone. And then we're going to do a little waxing on two of the Supreme Court decisions that came down at the end of the term that are significant. But I have a little bit of a list here. So
let's get into it. Because I'm like, it's been as usual, just like nonstop bullshit.
Yeah. So the first thing is that the slush fund, the insurrectionist slush fund, may not actually be dead. The Atlantic reported that the new strategy is that people who believed that they were victims of the weaponized government can just file lawsuits.
Congress could do that.
And then the Department of Justice would not defend itself against the lawsuits. They would just settle those.
That's okay. I see. So yeah, so that's it's just like they're telling those people like, hey, dude, don't worry, dude. We'll just like settle that shit.
Yep.
Like it's like an unofficial. Because I was going to say, I was like, of course they could always file lawsuits. I mean, anyone can file a lawsuit, whether it's successful or not.
But no,
it's a separate issue.
Defend itself again.
And the government, I mean, to be clear, like the government defends itself when it shouldn't all of the fucking time. It's just like the default, like just the mechanisms of whatever. It's the same sort of with big corporations that like, because I mean, like I've never been on the government side, like with some very, very smaller matters. I've been on like the big company side. Like it doesn't matter. Like the default is just like we defend and then we decide if we're going to settle it.
Yeah.
Like nobody's like, a regular person would be like, does this have merit? Like, should we just, save the legal fees and just like, try to settle this on the front end. If you've got like, big government or big company money, you're like, we fight it. And then we'll figure out eventually if we should settle it.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, just like do that. And wink, nod.
We'll just settle.
That's genius. The way it was framed, was that it was not actually just for those people. That was for anybody. Yeah, I'm pretty sure people should
also could be for anyone.
But people should do those test cases because of the same thing. It's like there was that theory before about like with claims to the fund, people should file those cases as test cases to see, how the government reacts.
Who gets settlements and who doesn't.
Yeah. And who gets like, basically a no defense from the government versus, anyway.
Okay. So that's the first thing. The other main thing that happened while we were on a break was the 250th birthday of America. And the Great American State Fair in the National Mall, which was a fucking disaster.
I mean, like, it sounds like it was like, well, no one came.
The stage was falling apart.
There was like a masturbating MAGA guy who got arrested. These are just the things I've heard. I mean, maybe other things happened. I will say, too, that it offends me about the state fair. Because in Kentucky, the state fair is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I loved the state fair. I still love the state fair. Some of my girlfriends bring their kid, like actually one of my good friends who lives in DC, she brings her boys back in August to go to the Kentucky State Fair. Like the gem of it is that it's like great fucking halfway dangerous, relatively small rides, out on the midway. you know, like we loved those kids. And there's really good family stories that I won't get into on this podcast, but about some of those rides and family trauma, you know, and then like the cake baking contest, like we used to have like pet rabbits. We would always get them at the state fair. Like the Kentucky State Fair is fucking amazing. Like the food, you know, just like get your funnel cakes, get your
Yeah.
cotton candy. Like it is hot as shit. It is redneck as shit. People are wearing like netted shirts. It's a tease like in high school that, you know, like what were they called that we were, you know, when you're like playing sports and you wear like
With
that.
mesh.
Yeah,
Good
but you wear like
mesh.
the green, yeah,
Yeah.
yes, like the it's not called a jerk, whatever, what it's a penny. Is it called a penny? Yeah, yeah, I think it's anyway. We were wearing that netted thing that like, you know, marks you as the other team
Yeah.
for like, you know, practice purposes.
Yeah.
People are basically just like wearing that, but in black always, you know, like just like a pen.
In Kentucky, I kind of would have just assumed it'd be like overalls with no like undershirt.
No, it's way redneck here. Like modern redneck. You're thinking old school redneck. So you do you, girl, with that penny on, eating that funnel cake while you ride the hurricane. Yes, so state fair is great. And I really am very annoyed that of course, like Trump just like cannot even capture the beauty of the state fair. Not only can't capture it, but just like I mean, I don't think it degrades it. Nobody cares. Like no one cares. No one went, no one cares.
There was also an extreme heat advisory, and then they basically had to shut down everything. And then all the MAGA people thought that that there was like some deep state conspiracy happening within the National Weather Service.
They had to, though. I mean, again, this is just from what I heard because I wasn't following it in real time. Like on the actual 4th of July, then I, of course, worked and then was convinced by our good friend Rob, to finally like come hang out. So I, like 9 o'clock, like came over to the friend's house to hang out by the pool and kick it. So I wasn't paying attention to any of this. Of course, then the next day, the political animal, I was just like, well, what did the Bill Rick say about this? What was happening? And yeah, like there was, I mean, and all this was predicted that it was going to be a bad idea. The heat warning was really bad to begin with. Like Trump was going to speak really late. Again, they're bad at event planning.
Yes.
You know, like it's going to be the largest fireworks display ever in the world, but it's going to happen like, you know, at 11 o'clock at night. Like kids go to fireworks displays. Anyway, the whole thing like on the front end was logistically not great.
Yeah.
And then because of that, of course, things happen like huge thunderstorms, just like here. So they had to evacuate everyone and bring them back in. And Trump still spoke then after that for like a million years.
Yeah.
Narcissism.
Yes.
We're going to get to my other theories of people who are narcissists in a bit, but like that's just so dear leader kind of crap. Yeah. DC people were like, this is why the president doesn't go to the fireworks display in DC. Like he watches it, and it's always a he, as we know, from the balcony of the White House, because like there's so much security that's involved if the president goes anywhere. So like it's going to make it a lot harder for any regular human that's trying to attend that event. But of course, Trump doesn't give a shit about that. He doesn't give a shit about that. Like, and then it's going to be like in the middle of the night, you know, for something that's obviously, you know, intended in large part. Exactly.
Yeah, it was so stupid. So I, like many other Americans in the country who were not excited to join in on Trump's version 250th, I kind of was getting into the World Cup. And so the World Cup has been really great. And also, you know, this was a better way to celebrate USA because the American team was doing really well.
Right.
However, they played a game in which one of their star players was issued a red card, that would mean that he couldn't compete in the following game. Listeners, I have learned all this stuff literally in the last 2 weeks by Monica Charlton, previous guest, and my daughter.
Well,
I don't know.
I played field hockey in high school, and it's all of those rules are very similar to soccer. So I'm very familiar with yellow cards and red cards.
Well, I didn't know.
I understood all of that.
This player was going to be not able to play in the next game.
Yeah.
So,
and before we get like,
it was a question.
It was, but
it was
right. It seemed like a red card is supposed to be something that is something intentional. Red card is is pretty serious, obviously. So it has to be intentional. So this was about whether he'd stepped on, they got entangled up with whether he'd stepped on this guy's ankle intentionally. And from my understanding, I haven't watched the replay of it, but like, I don't know that it was a great call.
It wasn't a great call,
but
I've been watching a lot of the World Cup over the last couple of weeks, and the calls seem to be real loosey goosey just in general.
Yeah,
like,
the calls. You don't watch live sports.
yeah, I mean, with like American football, I understand the rules. It's very obvious when someone like grabs someone's face mask and drags them to the ground that like that's a foul and they're going to be penalized.
Yeah.
But with soccer, I'm less clear on it.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, I meant to text this to you on the 4th of July, but our listeners also might benefit from this. That if you haven't already, you should listen to This American Life. Their 4th of July, their ode to 250. It was really good. Like it's funny, it's poignant. But the beginning part is about hating the referees. It's about like rooting against the referees in baseball.
Well, anyway, so what ended up happening is that Trump decided to cheat on behalf of the U.S. men's team.
Right, because FIFA is also like the most corrupt, other than our current government.
Yes.
Is the most corrupt organization in the world.
Correct. And also, listeners may remember, we never talked about this on the podcast, but it was news that the FIFA issued Trump some bullshit.
No, the Peace Prize.
Yeah.
The Peace Prize. First ever FIFA Peace Prize. Like,
so ridiculous.
It's genius. I know. I mean, it's manipulation genius. Like, know your fucking audience. That's like 101 as lawyers. So know your audience.
We for our viewers on YouTube, I put a picture of the FIFA president because he looks like
his name is Jonathan
Powers. I mean, he's like, like bald. I mean, he just looks evil.
I don't know what he looks like. His name is Johnny Infantino. So that is like, I mean, it's a name that sounds like you were born to be a villain. Yeah.
So anyway, so Trump calls him or someone associated with him, disputes this red card. And then they're like, okay, well, we'll reinstate this guy. But then because everything that Trump touches
turns to shit.
Including Trump decided like, oh, I'll go to the Knicks game, but that's the only game that they lost.
I know.
So he's like, oh, I'm going to interfere in this. And then the next game that they play against Belgium, they fucking lost.
Right.
Like not even just lost, like fucking lost.
Yeah. And people, I mean, again, I didn't watch that game, but like we played very badly, very bad. And the Belgians they're a better team.
Probably lower by the president getting involved in this bullshit.
And also, of course, like again, maybe the president in a situation like this says something like, I don't think it was a really great call, or like has somebody call somebody, but doesn't announce himself, like doesn't announce I called them and they reversed it.
Yeah.
I mean, just basically just admitting that like, this stuff is important to the morale of the nation.
Yes.
And so it's not like beyond a president to care about it or to comment on it, or maybe to even be like, I don't know, maybe somebody should call them and be like, was this fair? But like no president just like announces I called them.
And they did
exactly. And they reversed. Which is not like, these things are not like, that's not possible. That's part of why this is like decisions like that are not appealable. There is no process to do that.
Yeah.
So Trump's like, I know. And that's why I'm so great, because I got it done.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know if it, there's a lot of speculation that it affected the morale of the team. One would expect that even the guy who got to play was embarrassed.
Yes.
I mean, like that's embarrassing.
Because that's not good sportsmanship.
It's not.
It's not.
No. I mean,
Like, whether it was a good red card or a bad red card, like
that's the game.
Dems the
That's right.
beats,
That's the game. Yeah. That's the game. Yeah. And again, like that's in sport, it's very similar in many ways to being a lawyer. One of my former partners.
Sometimes you lose.
Well, and sometimes the call is fair and sometimes it's not. Like judges are making rulings midstream all the time, and you're like, that's the wrong ruling. We gotta roll. We gotta roll with this, and we gotta like try to come back better. Like they're not letting this evidence in. This is a fucking problem. Gotta roll back better, because this won't be reviewable for like many, many, many years from now,
Yeah.
you know? So, I mean, one of my former partners used to tease, and it's, I think, fairly accurate that being a litigator is like the next best thing to being a competitive athlete. It's got a lot of the same sort of like competitive instinct, like real time narrative that you got to be like changing and moving to things. So, yeah, I mean, you're just like, you just have to do that. I mean, there are times that you can go to the other authority and take a writ, whatever. But like once that's exhausted, you're just moving. Well, one equivalent is sort of what happened, I guess, with the Liz Merle whole. Yeah.
I didn't even have that on our map.
We
We
just
should
talk-
talk about
well,
that.
and I don't know. Okay, so I don't actually know that much about it, but this is an insane thing
Yeah.
that we should talk about.
Let's
And
do it right
need
now
to-
as an
yeah,
aside.
yeah.
Let-
We need to, yeah.
Let me set it up and then
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about this very briefly when we had Senator Duplessis on, and that Liz Merle had sent some threatening letters to members of the New Orleans City Council about their involvement and their positioning vis-a-vis the criminal clerk of court
Right.
legislation that had passed, and how they were trying to intervene to figure out, like, calling a special
Right.
election.
By intervene, again,
appointing,
by intervene just being calling another election.
right.
And whether they had the authority to do that.
Yeah, they were looking at, like, what is our role in implementing this new legislation that the Louisiana state legislature has passed.
The argument would be not to implement it, but to get around it. But whatever, like, what are our legal mechanisms to just, because we're in a quagmire. The whole thing is a quagmire.
It's so stupid.
Like,
Yeah.
who's running what, and the integration hasn't happened.
Right.
So in the interim, what are we going to do? Okay, we think we have the authority to call a special election. Like, that's,
So Liz Merle, our attorney general, sent threatening letters to them, and then a grand jury indicted her for sending these letters. Take it from there, Ellie.
Yeah, so that's already kind of nuts. All of that's kind of nuts. And then the Louisiana Supreme Court intervened to say that to put a stay on that case, to say that it can't go forward because there's like a million problems with it. There are a million problems with it. I mean, the whole thing is unbelievably nuts. I would just just like go on record with that. Like, Liz having done, I mean, like, what are you talking about? Liz is telling the mayor and the city council that they might be wading into like criminal territory by calling a special election. That was nuts.
I made it criminal.
Well, that's nuts too. Let's be honest. Like, and again, I haven't looked into any of this like extensively, but like, I loved the idea of Liz getting indicted. It's great. It would be amazing.
Her getting indicted for just being a bitch that's just like trolling people.
Yes.
Using her official
100%.
authority.
100%. A lot of this is the one lesson, I think, is it is all super opaque about who has any authority to do any of this, honestly. There's kind of none of it. I guess any legal authority. So I think it's, it's good for Liz to remember, that sort of the play out of the MAGA book that, like, I don't know, maybe like blue city people can turn things on its head the same way. You think that you can just go around making the law say what you want and indicting people for what you want. You can play at that game.
Yeah.
And of course, Louisiana Supreme Court is like, no, like, you can't play at that game. And, again, they're not weighing in on whether what Liz said to begin with was legal. Yeah. But they're like, I don't know that this is legal. And there's a lot of like procedural issues with like the way it was handled. The special prosecutor in the case is a former judge, and there's a lot of issues with her and potential conflicts of interest. For whatever reason, the judge, like, when the indictments were handed down, like, wouldn't let any press be in the room. And apparently, like, some reporter was handcuffed. Like, there's a bunch of, like, just, like,
We need to have a whole episode on this.
I mean, really, there's a lot of insanity happening with this. And the case is ongoing. It has been stayed. So, of course, our Louisiana Supreme Court, which was not unanimous. So that's, they because is, which I think the reason for that. So they stayed the case, but in the interim, that Liz can file motions to dismiss and that the other side can respond, yada, yada. In other words, like Liz wasn't about to get arrested. She wasn't about to get thrown in jail. The case was just going to go on. But yeah, it's actually, we should definitely we should do a little research ourselves. I mean,
It's crazy.
It's in fucking insanity. I mean, like I was already thought it was insanity that Liz was threatening to prosecute the mayor and the city council. But then New Orleans, you're like, oh no, we gonna prosecute you.
I love it.
And the grand jury be like, yeah, we got you. We got you, New Orleans. And then the Supreme Court, and their state decision is very scathing. It's just, but not unanimous. We lived in a banana republic within a banana republic, apparently.
It's crazy.
It's very crazy.
All right.
Yeah.
So then let's talk about some of the other stuff. Apart from World Cup and Liz Merle being a crazy cunty bitch, then Trump was overseas at some meeting. I didn't do a lot
NATO.
NATO?
Yes.
And he went on a rant about the Islamic Republic of Japan.
Yeah. Well, he's went on many rants, but when he was talking about how we're back at war, that was he referred to the being back at war with the Islamic Republic of Japan.
We're at war with the Islamic Republic of Japan.
Yes. I mean, yeah. So he just doesn't know.
He got Zelensky to sit there, and then the press was asking questions, and he was like, I don't know, do you want to go to Moscow to have this meeting?
He has said that before. I mean, Zelensky's always like, I think I would probably get killed there.
President Putin said, I would love to meet in Moscow. And I said, I don't think, I have to put myself in his position. I don't know that he'd go to Moscow. Maybe he would. Would you go to Moscow?
It's difficult. There are a lot of Ukrainian drones there.
The Ukrainian drones
might not be
actually
Mr. President.
quite effective. That was so good.
But she's a former comedian.
He is very good.
This is Trump, of course, is dying to go to Moscow. He's been dying to go to Moscow and meet with Putin this whole time. I don't know how safe it is in Moscow these days with all the Ukrainian drones.
We should send Trump to Moscow in the dead of winter. It's just stupid. I mean, he doesn't know what's going on. Like, that's the point. He has no idea what's going on.
Well, that's just in general. You mean just that, like, he's increasingly just a dementia-riddled president? Yeah. I mean, I think that's more and more obvious.
Yeah.
And of course, like, a lot of people complain, and I think legitimately that this is getting very little attention as opposed to Biden, which like people need to talk about with Biden as well. And obviously, as we all saw with
but if we had been a debate, then Biden would have at least known who we were at war with, and it was not the Islamic Republic of Japan.
Or like it would have been covered a lot in the press. I don't know what Biden would have known. I don't know what Biden fucking does know. But like there was a lot of press coverage. And there's criticism, of course, that there wasn't enough press coverage of it early on.
Whether or not like Trump is more demented than Biden, it doesn't actually.
I don't mean that. I mean the level of coverage it's getting. I don't where anyone
more
is
demented than
but like
all I'm saying is that we're in an active conflict.
Yes.
And Trump doesn't know with who.
There's a million reasons to think that he's not super with it. And I think that there should be more coverage of that. But with NATO in general, the coverage has basically been about everything was good. Everything is good. There's a lot of unity. And that even though Trump was being like transgressive and bizarre all along, that things were sort of fine. But that the reality is, which makes sense to me, is that the Europeans are like, we're done. They're like absolutely actively working to move away.
They don't even want to invite the U.S. to upcoming. They're going to meet on their own. They're like not even going to include us in upcoming meeting.
Really? I
don't blame them.
The more interesting thing that I heard just yesterday is that they're like, I don't blame them either for this, but I mean, it just shows like what a huge shift in the world order is. This is going to take time and a lot of money investment, but like they're moving away from using Microsoft. Mm-hmm. They're moving away from using Starlink. They're moving away from using all U.S. shit.
Yeah.
Because like it's all US
Yeah.
shit that everyone has used.
And
now.
all of those people are like showing up and
Correct.
giving Trump blowjobs.
100%. And like
Yeah.
that being the satellites. I mean, like that's like
They're
I mean,
not, they're
you gotta
untrustworthy.
yeah,
No.
we are untrustworthy.
Yeah.
We are. Basically, Europe is like, we need to replicate all of those systems. The internet. We need to replicate the internet? Really? I'm not kidding.
Like a Euronet.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, like having our own service providers, like having our own everything that we don't have to rely on the United States for. That's a shocking
Yeah.
and I don't blame them development, right? That will take a lot of time and like money to effectuate. But like, I mean,
Why would you do that?
you have to. I mean, again, like because people are always like, how do they feel if like there's John Ossoff or Gavin Newsom or
turn on a dime.
We've proven that.
Yeah.
We elected Trump twice with the gap. Yeah.
So much evidence.
Like that's, I mean, if I were in Europe, I would be like, no, we gotta plan. We gotta start getting away from anything that we might have to be sending our data, sending our security system, sending our anything through channels that the Americans control.
Yeah.
It's wow. That's wow.
All right. I have one more thing, and then it might be a good segue for you to talk about what you wanted to talk about. But my last thing is E. Jean Carroll. The Supreme Court rejected Trump's last effort to try to throw out the jury's finding that Trump had actually sexually abused E. Jean Carroll. And
then he owes her millions of
defamed
dollars.
her.
Yeah.
They declined to take up that case. It was an unexplained order, which is obviously typical for this fucking war.
Well, I mean, if you decline cert, that it should be unexplained.
Yeah, but explain. But whatever.
Yes. Fair.
Okay. So where we are is after 3 years, 3 levels of government, like federal court system
And states,
yeah,
state and federal. Yeah.
countless legal filings.
Yes.
Donald Trump is being ordered now to finally actually pay E. Jean Carroll $5 million plus interest at this point because he's delayed
More than 5.
this particular case.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second defamation is still
That's
being
but also I love the plus interest. Like his
interest is a lot.
His whole let's just delay this. Like he's just racking up his own debt.
That's right. Has he paid it?
He's been ordered to. This is like just in the last week.
Yeah.
He's been officially ordered to pay it. He has no more.
Yeah,
it's
no,
the end of the line.
That's literally the end of the line.
It's the end of the fucking line. He has to do this. And God bless E. Jean Carroll for sticking with this. She's so funny.
He's so funny. I mean, really.
And she has committed that every cent of settlement from this and the other litigation, which is significantly more, 80-something thousand dollars, 83,000
million.
Sorry, million, whatever, that she is going to donate that money to causes or organizations that are 100% against Trump. So I appreciate that. I think that this is a good news story for accountability for people who have been credibly accused of sexual assault.
It's true.
And that is your segue.
Yeah. So we were just talking about Graham Plattner before. Obviously, a lot of ink and time has been spilled on Graham Plattner. Too much, really. The main Senate race, which is the reason being, of course, it's a really important race
because Susan Collins is a cunt, and
yes, Susan Collins is the reason that Kavanaugh is on the court. But he promised her, in her office that he would not overturn Roe. Obviously, that didn't happen. Recently when she was interviewed, said something about she doesn't think that that her vote was responsible for that.
Yeah, right. It's what she needs to.
Well, of course, that's what she's going to say. And
also, we all know the facts.
Yeah, and I mean that's the point that needs to be hit home in Maine, like over and over and over and over again. Not really about Graham Plattner, which actually gets to my point. Like Susan Collins is a reliable, complicit. Like remember the Ivanka complicity that they did on SNL, like advertising the perfume complicity. That is Susan Collins. She's just like the old rickety The old lady.
She's been a reliable
The old
vote.
lady perfume of complicity.
She's been a reliable vote for Trump on every time that
On
he's ever needed
everything.
her.
That's
Yeah.
correct. Yes, including on ones that she claimed to be
Okay, but
important.
that's not Susan Collins is a cunt and she needs to be removed.
Yeah,
And
all right,
that's
so yeah.
established.
Yes, okay. All right. So the Graham Plattner issue is that I just think that people need to say out loud, this guy's a narcissist. Like
Yeah.
he's an actual narcissist.
Mhm.
I'm playing George Conway with armchair psychiatry, but like it's unbelievable to me the way that this guy has comported himself, including in his actually not really resignation. Like it's just, I mean, all this stuff, I know we need to win. So that was just, I know we need to win this race. And I know that people were excited about him. He's got a lot of Bernie bro energy, which like was also misogyny. Let's just talk about that for a second. A lot of the bro energy on the left is very misogynistic.
Yep.
And that is just a fact. And it's something that we need to like think about and figure out. Like, we on the left need to figure out how to bring men back in because like that is a problem. And like, this was a plan for sort of how to deal with toxic masculinity and, sort of compete with that. But the reality is that like we've got a lot of men on our side that are really toxic themselves. I mean, like the Bernie bros could not have been more toxic in terms of their reaction to Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
And it was the same with Graham Plattner that like all along, anybody who were particularly women who were like just like skeptical of him, then, just like a full assault. And, hopefully those folks will get on board with voting for whoever, and particularly whoever of those folks are actually even fucking main voters. Because a lot of these people, don't live there. Like, enough. They're just people who talk a lot of shit on the internet. So that's a problem.
Yeah.
And then, it's very much like Trump. I mean, like, just like looking at it, this guy is a narcissist.
Mhm.
Everything is about him, including his fucking, the movement cannot be stopped. Like he's been in politics for like
A second.
a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a day. Like you built a movement. Like, I mean, you got people excited about you.
Mhm.
You're charismatic. Many narcissists are very charismatic. So fair enough, But like this is nothing about you. And like he's trying to tank that race. I mean, there's lots of bullshit commentary on Graham Plattner from the right that's just so hypocritical that they just don't have time for any of that at all. Like on the left, then like, we care about sexual assault.
Yes, we do.
We care about that. Like, should there have been other warning signs before? I don't know.
Well, I'm going to say there were.
Well, there were.
And
there definitely
this
were.
is going to weigh in.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like sort of listening to the whole saga of this, I'm having like a very Jewish Passover moment where I'm like, Dayenu, which means it would have been enough. Okay. So it would have been enough for us to have known that he had a Nazi tattoo. And it would have been enough to have seen his like prior social media posts and tweets.
And it would have been enough to know that he lied about that he actually knew that it was a Nazi tattoo a long time before he pretended like
exactly. And so and then the New York Times story comes out with like other allegations. Dayenu. And then we get to this. And it's just like this is like 100% a Dayenu moment where it's like it was enough. Yeah. It was enough.
And again, a lot of women have felt like that the whole time. I mean, the interesting thing is that most
at Nazi tattoo. I got to be honest with you.
I still do believe that it was like men being stupid and getting tattoos on break and when they're in the military.
I will say this: my dad's military tattoo is a done stupid on break tattoo, but his is. He got drunk at like Camp Pendleton in San Diego. And this may not be the exact story, but this is a story I'm going to tell because this is what I remember. And if he wants to dispute it, he can come on the podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
They were shipping out to Vietnam and they all got drunk and they went and they got their tattoos. And my dad, picked from the military tattoos, and he picked the one and they put it on his arm, and it turns out it's actually the US Postal Service tattoo and not the US Marine Corps tattoo. That's
Yeah.
a legitimate
So
mistake.
they were in Croatia, so I think it's not, where he got the tattoo. So again, like the choices are going to be a little bit different. So like that, the actual getting the tattoo, I think is explainable. The rest of it, there's very good evidence from texts with his ex-girlfriends that he fully knew that it was a Nazi tattoo. And like
Diane knew.
yeah, exactly. And honestly, the bad Reddit tags are not just there's rape apologist stuff in
There is
that's
a lot of red flags.
rape apologist stuff is deep seated in a human, right? It's not some of it was stuff that is very offensive, black people are bad tippers kind of stuff, which that's a racist trope that shows something, but sort of teasing about or minimizing what consent is and rape sort of stuff. That's very deep seated in a person, which it turns out that is the case. When we're not talking about questionable stuff anymore, yes, it's not things that are proven, but things that are credible accusations of sexual assault are a bridge too far. We're not going to go there. But this motherfucker, he's a narcissist. He can't even just
his statement was it was
outrageous.
It was so obvious that all of his communications people had already abandoned him before he decided to record something and post it publicly, because no legitimate campaign communications professional in their right mind would have let him put that statement out. It was insane.
Yeah, he's probably in a place where he can't be controlled at this point anyway, again, for all of the aforementioned reasons. It's dude, what are you have no power in this situation. You have fucked this up. You have fucked this up horribly. So get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough said.
Okay. All right. The Supreme Court term ended at the end of June, and there were a lot of decisions that came out in this term that were really, really, really problematic. But two of the last that came out were ones that I think are particularly resonant for the work that we do and the issues that we work on. And so I want us to kind of focus a little bit on the West Virginia versus BPJ. So this is the issue about transgender athletes. And then the next one that we can talk about, although there's been already so much commentary on it that is much more astute than anything that we may offer, is Trump versus Barbara, which is the birthright citizenship case.
With the latter, it's probably sort of easier to talk about initially, just that, the decision was what we knew and expected it would be, that birthright citizenship is real.
Upheld it.
Yeah,
right.
That's exactly.
Yeah. The main thing that I find extremely disturbing about the birthright citizenship case is that it should not have been this close.
Yeah.
And, it's being couched as oh, this was a 6-3 decision because Kavanaugh joined the majority on most of their, but fundamentally, he doesn't think that the 14th Amendment is clear on this issue. So really it's a 5-4 decision. And that is too close for comfort.
I agree.
For me.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And there's a lot of sort of nuance even in the dissents,
The dissents were ridiculously long. Thomas's dissent was a gazillion pages.
I didn't read it.
Well, it was, and I tried to read it, but essentially all that he's saying is that, birthright citizenship is only for Black people because I'm Black and I'm a descendant of the people that would benefit from that. And then everyone else, fuck them.
Yeah, the nuance to it is basically that they're sort of focused on, anchor people coming to the United States to have children, which, it's not like a non-existent thing, but it's not the majority of people who will or will not benefit from birthright citizenship have nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
So like the commentary that's a little bit more hopeful is that like even Alito and Thomas really wouldn't go so far as to say that the 14th Amendment doesn't protect people who actually live here
Mhm.
and have children here, even if they're undocumented.
Yeah. Yeah. The whole thing the whole split fell on this like idea of domicile. Like,
Yeah.
do you live here under some sort of like legitimate status? Have you been here? And
Which is interesting that they want to be contrary, and also they want to support the Trump administration. So it is somewhat interesting. The tack that they took was sort of like the most extreme, sort of least relevant practical interpretation, to focus on that. So yes, you would want it to be just basically like 9-0 or 8-0 or whatever. With this court and this highly politicized of an issue, I don't know that was. Because tons of people were like, that's where it's going to be.
yeah,
Because the concept, the words are pretty clear, but I think that was
it was surprising.
probably.
Gorsuch was surprising to me.
Yeah, well, it's true. It's true. It's true.
It does kind of make me a little bit concerned that if we did have a Congress that was willing to do what Brett
Yeah.
Kavanaugh is suggesting, which is amend the statutory language to say, okay, so actually everything in this executive order does not apply to birthright. So codifying the executive order, if Congress is willing to do that, I don't know that we would have John Roberts, and
Yeah, I agree with that.
that scares me.
Well, yeah, this is again why the court, it's just annoying that like they leave so much up for grabs,
Yeah.
And also it's annoying that these people are not being on the Supreme Court, are not like faithful to their own law. Because like it actually shouldn't matter with Alito or with Thomas, with the logic they've already laid out. Like the Constitution is still the same. But yeah, that it would. There's no doubt that there will be a political push to do that, even just like for the point of it. And like the insanity. We'll see how much political capital this issue has, how racist the country is, particularly on this issue, and the misunderstanding, in my opinion, about this. But like, I heard Bill Kristol say, which I don't think is like a bad prediction, that this is going to be like the next Roe, that like Republicans are going to run on it, they're going to try to legislate on it. They're going to test cases on this, that like, the court has said that this can't, that Constitution says this can't be done. Like, we got to find a way to get this done. I don't know that it's an issue that has as much resonance as abortion does. My instinct is that it does not.
Well,
but it certainly has some.
It does have some, and it would take a different path. Like the way that the overturning of Roe was successful is that it was very easily translated into a state issue. Birthright citizenship isn't as easily translated into a state issue, but my concern is that if you've got a really radical Congress that was willing to move on this, then that might be a different outcome.
Yeah, I would think that you're going to have to see enough support from that among the populace, though.
Maybe.
And like, well, there is going to be some. I don't know. I don't know that hating immigrants is like as easy to manipulate people about. It certainly has been historically. But like manipulating people about like a baby in the womb is very, very easy.
No, I know.
So
I guess one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, I don't know what other time in history in which the court has been so strategic about writing their dissents for the next case.
Yeah.
And that is another thing that I think that we've seen over the last 10 years, and it's becoming like increasingly more of a strategy.
People used to write, it's interesting. And I'm sure this is like kind of a broad statement, but like, dissents were usually written for posterity,
Right.
like
Just say like, I disagree.
Not as a roadmap.
But they're
talking about the roadmap. Yeah. That has been true for a while. And maybe it's been true for longer than I realized, but But I agree with you that, like, it's sort of disturbingly with Thomas in
Mhm.
particular that, but if this were, this isn't a case that's about
This
blah,
is
blah,
a
blah.
but if you brought
But if
this
it were
case
a case about blah, 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 that would be, well, it's just always pointing out that this isn't a case about X. And if it were, it might be different. That, like, yes, it's just like an absolute signal. Again, as a lawyer, like I would take that signal
yeah,
immediately.
yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about West Virginia v. BPJ. So, the holding in this case is that Title IX allows schools to provide separate women's and men's sports teams defined by biological sex. West Virginia and Idaho, there was a separate case. They were
Right.
combined.
Consolidate it. Yeah.
Did not violate the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment by maintaining female sports teams for biological females. Kavanaugh wrote this opinion. He focused his opinion a lot on the inherent physical differences that are relevant in his mind, like, height, weight,
Mm.
strength, speed, that allowing transgender females to compete with biological females is like disadvantaging biological females inherently because of this. This case, I just want to really be clear about this because a lot of people they don't, they're not following this case. They're going to hear headlines.
Right.
But like this case could have been decided in two other ways that would have not been so detrimental to the trans community. Because the plaintiff in this case was a transgender person who had undergone pre-puberty a lot of things that prevented them from going through puberty.
Right.
So they did not have that they weren't inherently going to be stronger.
So you're like
faster.
standing basically. This person, this person is not representative of someone who went through development in the way that you guys are talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just want to be clear, like my position and Lift Louisiana's position is that like we just don't think that any of these laws are necessary at all.
Yeah.
But we do understand the controversy here.
Yeah.
And to the extent that there is controversy, then we should really be looking at some narrow exceptions. These should not be all out bans. And that's the problem.
The athletic community is kind of doing that.
Yes.
Like on like more of a national and international level, like sport by sport, like
Yeah.
figuring out, which makes sense, right? I mean, because I am just as, when you're talking about physically, not like, mental, like physically just as good as a boy at doing various things.
Mhm.
And other things I'm not.
Right.
I mean, like it's always sort of an amazing thing, like as a girl, when you realize, which again is like a little disturbing in terms of sexual assault sort of stuff, how much more upper body strength men have than you do.
Yes.
Like it's shocking. Like the weakest man could like pin you down like very, very easily, as opposed to that, like you maybe could run faster, like just lots of, lots of other physical things that like are not very different.
Right. But when we're talking about like, there is a way in which, well, okay, so I'll just say Justice Sotomayor's dissent, which she was joined by Kagan and Jackson, was really on point in that she laid out a pretty fundamental, basic unfairness argument. But fundamentally, what she was at, the dissent was focused on like, there are fact-based things involved in this particular case with this particular plaintiff.
Right.
And those needed to be adjudicated.
Which again, so it's the same with like well, there's only been, I guess, one other, but where the Supreme Court wants to just dispense with that.
Snatching over it. Yeah, they're just like,
Which is not what they normally do. And we saw that in, all the abortion cases. And it's not what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to be like, we do not have a full record on this, which they don't. I mean, like, that's a conservative court position, by the way. That like literally in the like small c sense of the word is like, we don't really know enough at this point. We either don't need to rule or we should provide a very limited ruling at this point and let the record be developed.
yeah.
So it is like the cutting to the chase is I mean, like the cynic in me is like, yeah, let's cut to the fucking chase because that's what you guys are gonna do anyway.
But with
So
these kinds of
yeah.
cases, it is so kind of fact determinative. There is a difference between a 22-year-old, trans woman who has never undergone any sort
Yeah.
of
And
like
yeah.
therapy, and they're identifying as a trans woman, and
Right.
that's legitimate, trying to play on an intramural,
Right.
like collegiate sports team
In
versus a
right.
15-year-old who has undergone puberty blockers and is trying to play on that,
Yes,
like,
100%. Well,
yeah,
plus also with youth, then there's the countervailing issues of the mental health issues
yeah,
that it's extremely helpful for children
mhm,
to be parts of teams,
yes,
and so the countervailing not being able to be a part of that.
of any team,
Yes.
because
So
that's what
so
this
we're gonna
decision said.
have to take a break. In a situation like this, notwithstanding what I just said about like cutting to the chase, for the public to understand a better narrative, for that to have been laid out, that like advocates can point to about what the evidence came in as showing is very important.
Yeah.
And that's like the Supreme Court is robbing sort of the plaintiff and advocates of being able to lay out their case.
Yeah.
And then, then again that the chips will fall where they may.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, and I mean a lot of the commentary about this has been like, oh well, it's not that big of a deal, it's just getting thrown back to the states. I'm like, great, yeah, getting thrown back to the states is like a death sentence. Like
If you're in a state like ours.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I mean, not being able to play on a team isn't maybe a death sentence to a transgender child, but as we were just talking about before, like could be very detrimental to
Yeah.
kids' mental health. Like and in fact, as we've heard in our own legislature, I mean, there's very high rates of suicide among the youth population.
Yes.
To say this is sort of a frivolous issue would be,
It's not. I mean, the decision impacts a legitimately small
yeah.
percentage
Yeah.
of people. But one of the things that I really appreciated about Sotomayor's dissent is that regardless of whether this is a small percentage of people, this court has never said
That's right.
that
No.
just because rights are being denied to a small percentage of people, that like we're just going to ignore.
No, that's the antithesis of democracy. I mean,
Yeah.
democracy is supposed to protect the minority. That is the
Exactly.
point of it. So, and there were very bad decisions back in the day, that didn't protect like communists, who were a small percentage of people, but that obviously changed over time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. So I mean, the times when the court has not protected small groups are the ones that have been looked back on with the most sort of skepticism and disdain. And I think with this, as you said, the sort of the lack of following the rule of law with what the Supreme Court does is disturb, in terms of like we look to the lower courts for fact finding. We don't intervene at an early stage.
There's two different questions here.
Yeah.
So one is, does Title IX prevent? And one is, does Title IX allow?
Yes, that's
And the what was decided in this case is that Title IX does not allow.
yeah.
So the next question to come up is, does Title IX prevent?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's like the golden ticket that these people are hoping for. And those are the cases that they're teeing up. And
Yeah.
I think there's a likelihood that the court will sanction that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's TBD.
It's really depressing. And I'm glad I have you to talk about. Even though, like, a lot of the times we take on stuff that we're not super, super experts in, although
Well, particularly when I haven't read anything about
you haven't read
James.
even though I sent you emails with all
Like
kinds of
yesterday, and like I don't have time. I'm trying to plan a baby shower. What am I gonna like read since read court cases?
All right. Well, in lieu of Ellie being a 1 week expert on this, we'll post on Instagram page some really cute pictures of the baby shower that she was doing in lieu of doing the research. I'm just kidding. I missed you. I'm glad we're doing this. We will be back next week. I'm going to try to find us a guest to come on.
We should also consider, doing our deep dive on the Liz Murrell
We could do a deep, yeah.
situation.
So dealer's choice. If you have a suggestion, whether you want to hear a deep dive on Liz Merle, a random guest speaker, or our representative Beryl Amity, who is living in a cult, podcast, let us know in the comments on any of the platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, blah blah blah. All the places that we are.
Yeah, I like that. Just it's random gases. Why? I'm just gonna go with that one. We're gonna vote.
Okay.
And people are like, I don't care who it is.
Who in it?
I don't care.
It
That
doesn't.
sounds better.
We're gonna.
Just the two of you talking about anything. I vote for random yes.
That's great. Okay.
Your dad won't vote for that one.
So please subscribe, rate, review, and comment.
Yeah, that's my job. I'm supposed to say that.
I know I did it because you.
We gotta go. So we gotta go.
We gotta go.
We gotta go, cooks. All right.
That's it.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Girl power baby shower. It's happening.
Seriously is presented by Lift Louisiana, a nonprofit organization advocating for reproductive health rights and justice.